Well, joining us now, Christian Whiton, former State Department senior advisor in the Trump and George W. Bush administrations. Christian, good to see you. Let's start with first your reaction to the president ordering an immediate withdrawal without much of a run-up to prepare anyone, declaring straightforwardly ISIS is done, and so is our presence in northeastern Syria.
Well, President Trump did absolutely the right thing. He is completely correct. ISIS is defeated as an organized military and political force. Of course, there are going to be some straggles. Remember, there are Japanese holdouts coming out of the jungle 2 decades after that war ended. But as an organized force, as a military force that was able to hold significant territory in Syria and Iraq, ISIS is kaput. Trump is right to pull it out and right to do it precipitously, because why give your opponents, and we saw a taste of them earlier, a chance to, frankly, create a lot of unjust fear. By pulling out, the president also has an ability to focus on where the real threats are in the world we face, like China, not in cowboys and Indians in the Middle East. And certainly concerns in this hemisphere that this president will have to deal with over the course of the next 6 years. Christian, let's turn to the preparation that the president made for everyone. He started with his campaign for president, in which he said it's going to be smart government, smart foreign policy. He is not going to follow the misadventures of previous presidents, and he's not going to nation build or simply deploy for a permanent station our forces. Everyone had plenty of notice, and should they have bothered, full understanding of his intent in foreign policy and in the use of the U.S. military. Yeah, it still shocks me that people are shocked that President Trump does what he said he would do, which, again, in this case, with nation building, and President Trump went through a list of nearly complete failure. You know, our military has done very well at the tasks that are assigned to it, removing the Taliban from power in Kabul, removing Saddam Hussein. But when it turns to nation building, we've been a terrible failure at that. President Trump made that clear in the campaign, and he's fulfilling a pledge. Very important, and again, so you can focus the military on what it does best and where it needs to be. And are you struck, though, even knowing you know, the protocols of the Washington swamp, that we would see rhinos and neocons suddenly just reflexively criticizing the removal of 2,000 troops as though they would alter the future of the entire Middle East? It's stunning. Even by the relatively low standards and expectations we attach to them. Yeah, it's just outrageous. You know, saying also, if you want to keep U.S. forces in Syria after we've accomplished our mission of defeating ISIS, it's tremendously cruel. All that would do is prolong the Syrian civil war that's been going on for nearly 8 years, hundreds of thousands of people dead. Listen, Assad is a tyrant. He's evil. He's a bad guy. But unlike the people who the neocons would have us fighting for, Assad can actually control his country. And there are, believe it or not, much worse things than Assad. And as we focus, as you suggest, on the powers that represent their greatest geo-military threat to this country, certainly China, certainly Russia, to continue in the Middle East, what do you think about the president's suggestion, an intimation really, perhaps only an inference on my part, that we need to bring our forces home, whether it be Germany, whether it be the United Kingdom, Japan, South Korea? We need to stand down in a lot of places where this country is hefting the bill and running great risk. Yeah, I didn't infer sort of wholesale withdrawal, but I think you are seeing an ongoing process of realignment. You know, it has been a long time since 9/11. What made sense in the year or 2 or 3 or 4 after that no longer may make sense a decade and a half later. And certainly NATO really is obsolete if you look at its original mission. So the idea of repositioning some of these forces and cutting back on the billions and billions, I don't know really what we're trying to accomplish in Iraq and Afghanistan and what we think we're going to accomplish in another year or 2 that we haven't in 17
15 years. But realigning forces, pushing our allies, whether they be European, getting Japan, as it has agreed to spend more on its military and do more and convert some of its military to a more offensive posture, if you will. Right. These are things that Donald Trump has accomplished.
And you can sense his frustration as he has to cajole the European members of NATO to pay their fair share as we spend our treasure protecting them. You can tell that isn't going to last much longer. Christian Whiton, as always, good to have you with us.